Hey everyone! Hit that subscribe button because Amber's story is about finding your voice again when trauma steals it. Let me take you to Washington, D.C., where this unfolds. Amber was an investigative journalist. The real deal, worked for a major newspaper, broke important stories, held powerful people accountable. She'd wanted to do this since journalism school, loved the chase, loved the impact, loved feeling like her work mattered. By 32, she'd won awards, built a reputation, was exactly where she wanted to be in her career. Then she covered a story that broke her. Won't go into details, protecting sources, protecting Amber, but it involved violence against women and children. She spent months investigating, interviewing survivors, documenting horrors. The story needed to be told. She told it. It was published. It won awards. It changed policy. It mattered. And it destroyed Amber in the process. PTSD hit hard. Vicarious trauma from all those interviews, all those stories, all that pain she'd absorbed. She started having nightmares about the people she'd interviewed. Started seeing danger everywhere. Started panicking in crowds. Couldn't watch the news anymore. Couldn't read about violence. Couldn't even think about that story without her chest tightening and her hands shaking. But here's the worst part, she couldn't write anymore. Not couldn't physically, but couldn't emotionally. Every time she'd try to work on a story, she'd freeze. The words wouldn't come. The curiosity that had always driven her journalism, gone. Replaced by fear and hypervigilance and the constant weight of all that trauma she'd witnessed. Her editor was understanding, gave her time off. But time off didn't fix it. The writing didn't come back. 3 months after publication, Amber had to admit she couldn't do the job anymore. Took extended leave. Her identity as a journalist, the thing she'd built her entire adult life around, was crumbling. And without it, she didn't know who she was. Didn't know what she was for. Felt like she'd sacrificed her ability to do meaningful work for one story, and now what? She was 33 with PTSD and no career and no idea how to move forward. She moved out of her DC apartment, too expensive without a regular income. Found a cheaper place in Alexandria, just across the river. Small studio, nothing special, but manageable on savings. Spent her days in therapy, trying to process the trauma, trying to find a way forward. Her therapist specialized in PTSD, was excellent, but even good therapy couldn't give Amber back her words. Couldn't make writing feel safe again. October in Alexandria is beautiful. The leaves turn, the air gets crisp, the historic streets look like postcards. Amber was walking through Old Town, just trying to be outside, trying to exist in the world without panicking. She passed an antique shop with a cat in the window. A beautiful grey Persian, long-haired, sitting in the display like part of the merchandise. Their eyes met, and the cat slow blinked at her. That cat kiss. And Amber felt the smallest crack in the numbness. She went in. Asked about the cat. The owner explained that Zelda lived in the shop, had been there for 8 years, was basically the shopkeeper's assistant. Amber started visiting regularly. Would come in, ostensibly to browse, really just to sit with Zelda. The owner didn't mind, understood that sometimes people needed cat therapy more than they needed antiques. Zelda would let Amber pet her, would purr, would occasionally climb into her lap. And for those moments, Amber felt calm. Safe. Present. After 2 weeks of daily visits, the owner had news. She was closing the shop, moving to Florida for family reasons. Would Amber like to adopt Zelda? And Amber, who'd never had a pet, who barely felt capable of taking care of herself, heard herself say yes. Yes, she'd take Zelda. Yes, she'd give this elegant, calm cat a home. Zelda made Amber's studio feel less empty. Would claim the sunniest spots, the comfiest chair, the best view of the window. Would demand brushing, Persians need daily grooming. Would sit in Amber's lap while Amber attempted to read or watch TV. And gradually, Amber started feeling less alone. Less broken. Less like her life was over at 33. Here's what happened: Amber started writing again, but differently. Not journalism. Not investigation. Just observation. She'd write about Zelda. About watching Zelda groom herself with meticulous precision. About Zelda's routine, her preferences, her personality. Small pieces, no pressure, no stakes. Just description. Just paying attention to something that didn't trigger her trauma. And the words came. Not easily, not perfectly, but they came. Her therapist encouraged this. You're rebuilding your relationship with words. With observation. With writing. That's good. Keep going. So Amber did. Started a blog about living with Zelda. About PTSD recovery. About finding small joys in difficult times. Wrote it anonymously at first, wasn't ready to attach her journalist name to vulnerability. But the writing felt good. Felt healing. Felt like reconnecting with a part of herself she thought was dead. Readers found the blog. Other people with PTSD. Other journalists who'd experienced trauma. Other people just trying to survive. They commented, shared their stories, thanked Amber for her honesty. And Amber realized she was doing journalism again. Just differently. Not investigating corruption or holding power accountable. Investigating her own healing. Holding space for vulnerability. Creating community around survival. About 8 months after getting Zelda, Amber pitched a piece to a magazine. First-person essay about vicarious trauma in journalism. About PTSD. About the cost of telling important stories. About finding healing through writing about a cat instead of writing about violence. The magazine accepted it. It was published. The response was overwhelming. Journalists everywhere reached out. This is my story too. I thought I was alone. Thank you for naming this. Amber started writing more. Personal essays. Commentary. Eventually, a book proposal about trauma-informed journalism. About how to tell difficult stories without destroying yourself. About recovery. About Zelda, the grey Persian who gave Amber a safe subject to write about when everything else felt dangerous. The book sold. It's coming out next year. Amber still can't do the kind of investigative journalism she used to do. The PTSD is managed but not gone. She's accepted that she'll never go back to that work. But she's found new work. Writing that's honest, vulnerable, helpful. Work that comes from experience rather than investigation. And weirdly, it matters more than her old work. Reaches people in deeper ways. Changes how journalism thinks about trauma and self-care. Zelda is 10 now. Amber is 35. They live in a bigger place in Alexandria, actual one-bedroom now that book advances made that possible. Amber writes every day, Zelda supervising from her preferred cushion. And the writing is good. Not because it's award-winning or impactful in traditional ways, but because it's honest. Because it's healing. Because it's sustainable in ways Amber's old career never was. Here's what Amber told me: I thought losing my ability to do investigative journalism meant I'd lost everything. That I'd sacrificed my career for one story and had nothing left. But Zelda showed me there are other stories to tell. Personal ones. Healing ones. Stories about survival and recovery and finding joy in small things. These stories matter too. Maybe more than the ones I used to tell. Because they are true in ways that don't destroy the teller. That's the shift, from external truth to internal truth. Amber used to investigate other people's stories. Now she tells her own. It's less prestigious, less traditionally impressive. But it's sustainable. It's healing. It's work she can do without destroying herself. And it helps people in real, tangible ways. So here's my question for you: what work are you doing that's destroying you? What would it look like to do meaningful work that's sustainable? For Amber, it was shifting from investigating trauma to writing about healing. What might your shift be? Drop your story in the comments. Tell me about finding new work after old work broke you. Tell me about cats who gave you safe subjects when everything else felt dangerous. Someone reading this is breaking from their work right now, thinking there's no other way, and they need to hear that there is. That meaningful work doesn't have to destroy you. That there are other stories to tell. Other ways to matter. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hit that like button if Amber's story resonated, subscribe for more tales of Persian cats helping journalists heal, and tonight, if your work is breaking you, please listen to that. Please consider that there might be another way. Your Zelda is waiting. Your safe subject is out there. You don't have to keep breaking to matter. Until next time, remember, the most important story you'll ever tell is the one about your own survival. And that story deserves to be written. Meow for now.